Good morning, everyone. Sorry, my hands are a little cold this morning. Need to warm them up so I can do some crafting with you. Today is Fun Fold Friday. I have a really sweet fun fold. I did see this on Patty Bennett's blog, and I thought I would reproduce it today. She did it using, she's done it twice, I think, and she did using different products, but I'm going to be using the suite called, oh, I didn't label my box, silly me. I'm using the, hang on, Floral Charm Suite collection, just because it's on my desk, because last night in my Case the Caddy, I used this suite of products to create this card. So some of you were watching, some of you have maybe since seen the replay, but this is the card. And I created this beautiful gold rose, as you can see. The papers are spectacular. The stamp set's beautiful. And this can only be found online, not in a catalog. So you go to the online store, go to Shop Now, and you can just search for it by name. So you can look up the Floral Charm Suite collection, Floral Charm Suite collection. The stamp set itself is called Charming Day. That's why we get so confused. The stamp set's called one thing, the designer series paper, it's called another thing. Then they bundle it all into this suite name. So we've got like 3 names to remember for the products that are in there. But anyway, it's a beautiful, beautiful suite of products. So you might want to take a look at that. And I just want to show you last night how I finished off the inside of the card. I had a leftover piece and I cut it in half, so it's a continuous pattern. I decided to glue both on with a little bit of a space in between to create the inside of the card. Anyway, it was a beautiful card, beautiful products. So I'll just quickly go through the products with you if you didn't catch yet last night. First of all, you've got this beautiful stamp set with the beautiful set of dies. Oh, let me turn my camera down here. La-di-da-di-da. Here we go. Center stage. Okay, so here are the beautiful dies. So you have a die to cut out this flower. You have a die to cut out this flower. And you have a die to cut out this little leaf cluster here. And then these other dies are standalone dies. They just cut out things. So for example, this die here, this cute little leaf die, I went ahead and I cut out some little leaves using Mossy Meadow because I might put these on the card today. And then you've got the rose, just cuts out a beautiful rose. And then you have this fun little flourish. So you might want to watch, if you haven't watched it, you might want to see my YouTube. It's also on, it's not yet. Yeah, it is on YouTube. You can watch it there. You can watch it on Facebook just to see how that card came together. And so that's the stamp set, and those are the dies. It comes with this beautiful braided trim in petal pink. It's an absolutely gorgeous trim. It's quite thick. This would make fantastic handles if you're into making bags. You can make a great handle with that. And then it also comes with some embellishments. They're right here. These are the embellishments, and they come in petal pink, berry burst, and night of navy, and they're just really pretty. They got some sparkle in there, and they're flat on the top. They're not the rounded dome style. I prefer these because they mail better than the dome ones. And then I'll quickly show you the papers are absolutely stunning. Let me pull them out of my box here. Okay, so you get 2 sheets of each. So this is one of the designs. So it's got petal pink and timid tiger put together here. And then you've got this beautiful pretty peacock on the back. You've got this beautiful purple designs. This is probably Fresh Freesia and Blackberry Bliss. And then on the back, you've got your Berry Burst. Then you've got this. We're using this today on today's card. So you've got this beautiful leaf pattern, and then you've got this. We're also using the reverse on today's card. This is Timid Tiger. It's beautiful color. And then you've got this flourish paper, and the back is Mossy Meadow. And then you've got this gorgeous paper. I love the Night of Navy and the Pretty Peacock for the leaves. Isn't that pretty to put the two colors together? And then you've got the Night of Navy on the back. And then you've got this beautiful, gorgeous paper here. So the papers are, I don't dislike any pattern. Sometimes in a pack of 12, or basically 6 patterns, because you get 2 of each, sometimes I don't care for one of the patterns. Not often, because Stampin' Up does a magnificent job of creating designer series paper. Their artists are very, very talented. All right, so let's get started with our card. I'm going to give you the measurements as we go along. Okay, so I've got this ready. I'm going to be doing some coloring on here, and I'm going to show you a quick way. Well, let me just grab a blending brush while I think about it, because we're going to do some coloring on here. And I also need one other ink pad. Oh my gosh, I have an ink pad I haven't opened yet. Timid Tiger. It's a beautiful orange color. It's really different from pumpkin pie. It's really pretty. And it will pair with Calypso Coral. It'll pair with Petal Pink. And so many other colors that we have. Now, when you're looking to combine colors, we have available a color coach. And I've created these color coaches in the past, but I hadn't had a chance to do one for the updated colors. So this is what it looks like. So you can print it out on a piece of your basic white cardstock just to get the really good colors from your printer. And then they have cut lines, so you can cut them and make these little cards. So say, for example, you're looking for what will go with Timid Tiger. I have these all alphabetized. So here's Timid Tiger. So here's the main color, and it's showing you that you can pair it with Mossy Meadow and Cajun Craze. You can pair it with Petal Pink and Crushed Curry. You can pair it with Misty Moonlight and Lost Lagoon. And you can even interchange these colors. So Timid Tiger, Lost Lagoon, and Crushed Curry. So you can make all kinds of combinations with this. So if you're really stuck in pairing your colors, you might want to do this color coach. Okay, so if you don't have access to that, you can let me know and I will send you the PDF. Okay, so Timid Tiger. So we're going to start doing some coloring just so I can get that out of the way. So one way to color is I've got some blends out here. I've got my I'm actually using Old Olive, dark and light Old Olive, and this is the Timid Tiger. But another way to color is to use your blending brushes. So you won't get color maybe on the whole thing, but what's nice about the blending brushes, and these are our small versions here, is that you'll produce a darker color in the center of the flower, which is what you want. Okay. So this is a really quick way to color. Always rub off the ink a little bit to start with, and then make little circular motions. Okay, now it'll be more difficult to use a brush for the leaves, so I think I will do some coloring with my blends. So let's just set that aside. So I'm going to start with the light. Actually, I'm going to start with dark. And I'm going to create some darker bits. I'm just going to add darker bits along the petal line there. Okay, and then I'm going to switch to the light. And I'm going to pull. You want to scribble along the line and then pull, and it will blend, and that line will disappear. And the more you color, the darker it gets. So I've got a little bit of light happening over here and a little bit darker here. So maybe I'll bring my camera down a little bit lower and move this down so you can see it better. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to the dark, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the next leaf. So today is Friday. Do any of you have any plans for this evening? Or sometimes when you're working, you can get a Friday off every now and then. So maybe you've got some plans for today. You are welcome to comment during the video. I pop my head up and have a little look, see who's commenting. And I have a few watchers that love to kind of participate. Sometimes I'll ask for suggestions on what color to use or which way I should do something. I often will rely on other people's expertise. So if you have a better way of doing things, I'd love to hear from you, or ways that you like to do things. So I would be interested to know, here's a question. What is your favorite coloring medium? We have, because with Stampin' Up, we have watercolor pencils, we have alcohol blends, we have Stampin' Write markers. They are water-based, sort of like watercolor markers. We've had chalks in the past. We've had, I forget what they were called now, but they were these powders that you would spritz the paper and then shake on powder, and it was kind of like in a salt shaker. I forget what they were called. But what has been your do you have a consistent favorite way to color? Or do you like to just use ink pads with a water brush? So can you see the shadowing on there? It's really, really pretty when you do a bit of dark and then pull it around with the light color. I used to do quite a bit of photography. I call it photography. I mean, I didn't have my own Lightroom or anything like that, and I didn't develop even in the early days, but I love to take pictures. And I did pay attention to light source. Where's the light coming in? Where are the shadows falling? I used to also love to go in a garden after a rain and look at the water droplets. I used to do a lot of macro photography. So I think that's why I love all of the Stampin' Up floral papers. They're just beautiful. And I love their stamp sets with flowers in them. I love flowers. Some people are not as keen on flowers, but I certainly enjoy them. I get a lot of pleasure out of my garden. I used to have a large garden. I've pared it down over the years, mostly because I did all the work for the deer, and I wasn't happy about that. They would come in and just graze my borders, and as soon as the new buds would come up in the spring, they'd come along and chomp them all off, and it was most frustrating. I was okay feeding my pets, but not necessarily the wildlife, and you're not supposed to feed the wildlife anyway. But I guess flowers are in nature. All right, so there you go. That is all beautifully blended. All the leaves are beautifully blended. Can you see the dark and the light? Really brings them to life. And if you were to color the flowers with the blends as well, you would do the same method. Okay. Now, what I'm curious about, I've only just started using the stamp set, so bear with me because I'm kind of a neophyte. But there is a die in here. Let me just see if I can pull it off my magnetic sheet here. This die, and I'm wondering if it coordinates with this flower. And I'm not sure that it does, but it could be used as a layer on top, I think. So if I were to cut that out, you could maybe put it on top of that flower. So that's an idea you could try. I was kind of curious about that. You know what? I'm going to cut it out. Let's get, I'm just going to grab a little piece of, oh, I have a piece right here. I'm going to grab a piece of petal pink. So petal pink will go beautifully with this timid tiger. And I just want to see what that looks like. Maybe it'll be a really pleasant surprise. Okay, so let's poke this out. I'll try and poke out all the holes. Oh my goodness, look how pretty that is. So you could put it on there. I'm not sure I like it on there for this particular card because I really like this coloring in here. But you could easily layer that on there, I think, or just make your own cluster of flowers. Now, another thing you could do, so we've got this beautiful rose here. So what you could do is cut this out of green cardstock and then just replace the top with one of these. So you could use this for the top of the rose as well. I think that would be really, really pretty. So there's another idea for you. Okay, now I'm going to grab the die for this because this does cut out. And then we'll start putting our card together, and I'll give you the measurements for the card. Okay, so I'm going to add my bits of tape here just to hold that in place. And I'm going to cut that out. All right, there is our beautiful roses. You cannot go wrong with a really pretty rose set of stamps and dies. All right, let's just poke out some additional bits there. All right. Okay, here we go. We need our card now. So these are the pieces I've got. So first of all, I decided on which of the patterns in that paper pack I wanted to use. You also need an envelope for this card for gluing things together. I'll show you why in a minute. Okay, so here's your card base. You pick a color. So I decided to use this as my base color. So it's really two cards in one. It's going to be, I'm going to pull my camera up a bit more. It's going to be an accordion fold card with another card on top. So your card base is 5.5 by 8.5. And to start with, you're going to score it in half at 4 1/4. But you're also going to score it in two other places. So I'm going to bring out my trimmer here. So when you make an accordion fold card or a gatefold card, you want to score. So this is 4¼ width. So you're going to score it 2 1/8. Let me see if I got my measurements right. I think it's 2 1/8. Yeah, 2 1/8 from each side. So I'm going to go here, 2 1/8. Make sure it's 2 1/8 and not 2 1/4, 2 1/8. And I'm going to score that. Whoops, put my blade up here. So I'm going to score that. Then I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to score it at 2 1/8 on the other side. So I like to do 2 1/8 from each end. So it's 4 1/4 in the middle and 2 1/8 from each end. Okay. Now that's the I'm going to show you how to fold it. You just fold it back like that. You make a W. Okay, mountain valley, mountain valley. Okay, but we're going to do some burnishing on that. The other card is simply a 1/4 sheet of cardstock. So I did Night of Navy for the bottom, and then I decided to do, so you want to be conscious of the DSP that you pick. So I did Night of Navy because it would coordinate with this pattern beautifully. Okay. So and you're going to be putting DSP on 4 of these panels. So you need 2 pieces of 4 by 5 1/4 inches. And we're going to cut those in half and put them on here. And then you pick another pattern because there's going to be a card on the front. So this is a 1/4 panel. It's just 4 by 5 1/4. Okay. And you're going to score this at 2 3/4 on the long side. 2 3/4. 2 3/4, because that is half of 5 1/2. 2 3/4. We're going to score this. So you're making a mini card here. Okay. And you're going to burnish that. Okay. And then this paper is going to go on top of this. Okay. Now, maybe I should have glued this on before I scored it. I'm not sure. But anyway, we'll figure it out. All right. So that's all of the cutting and all of the what was I going to say? Cutting and paper sizes. Scoring. Cutting and scoring is what I'm trying to say. Now, I'm just going to make sure my card, the edges meet. Okay, so try and get your corners to match. Even though you score in half, it may not be exact. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab my bone folder and give that a nice crisp fold. Okay, then you're going to take your accordion fold and you're going to burnish. Now, when you're doing fun folds, to make it really pliable when you're opening and closing it, you might want to burnish on both sides. You might want to fold in both directions and burnish. Okay, it just makes the card a little bit more flexible. Okay. All right, so basically the card folds like this. And then we've got this card here. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and glue on. Now this piece measures 4 by 5 1/4. It's a typical layer, 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Tombow glue and glue this on. I'm going to glue it down the center so that it adheres to the fold. Okay, we're just going to lay this on top. Glue this down really well. And then I'm going to fold it and burnish it. Okay, so that's ready. And this is what we're going to build our decorations on. Okay, now it reminds me, I'm going to try something when we put the card together with the flower. All right, so now when you have your 2 pieces of designer series paper for the accordion fold, this measures 4 by 5 1/4, and you can simply now cut these in half and you'll get 4 panels. Okay, now make sure you keep them together. In other words, on this piece, you want the pattern to flow. So this piece is on here, and you want to keep the pattern together once you've cut it. Okay, so I'm going to cut this in half at 2 inches. So this is my left and my right. Okay, and then the other one, same thing. Cut it 2 inches. Make sure you orient your paper the right way if it's one directional. And that's 2 inches. And that's going to go on these panels here. Okay, so we're going to glue those on next. So let's pull this forward. Okay, and then let's put some glue on here. Now I like to use Tombow glue for panels because you've got time to slide them into place. So I'm going to put this in here. Look at your top and bottom. Look at your edges. You see how I slid that into place? Okay, let's do this one. You want to match your top and bottom to the panel on the right. Okay, then let's do this one. And it's a very, very narrow border on here. So you really want good lighting and you want to watch those score lines. You don't want to glue on top of your score lines. Look how pretty that is. My goodness. Love, love, love this paper. Okay, we've got our last panel. Okay, so there is our 4 panels. I want to make sure I did this right. I think it goes like that. You want your patterns. No, I think that's right. Okay, we'll figure it out as I go. Like I said, I haven't made this before. I've watched a couple of videos. All right, now we have this panel. Now, when you glue this together, you want to get your envelope out, because if you want anything hanging over the edge, you want it to fit. So it's basically going to fit in your envelope like this. Okay, and this is going to be glued like this. So if you were going to have anything hanging off the edge, like let's say you put your flowers on here and you want the leaves to hang off the edge of this card, you want to make sure it's going to fit in the envelope. Okay. So just want to check out that this is working the right way. Yes, so this is how you want your card to end up. This panel pops out as a mountain and it's glued to the other two sides, and it will stand up beautifully and it will fit in your envelope. So we're going to put that together before we decorate. So do pull out an envelope to make sure it's going to fit. So I might have my flower hang over the edge. Now, another idea I was thinking of maybe putting a circle background behind this. So I'm going to grab my truly favorite set of dies. Actually, I could use, where are they? Here they are. These are my favorite dies. Now you could use a square, but I am partial to circles, so I'm going to cut the largest circle out of some basic white cardstock, and we'll use it as a foundation for the flower. So I'm calling this an accordion note card fold. So this I want on here. I think that looks better. Yes. Okay, so again, I'm going to line up my card, and this is going to come on the front. Okay, so I need to push this in way more. So this is really the critical part. Actually, I'm going to design this and then I'll put it on and then we'll figure it out. Okay, so now I cut out these little leaves here. I thought they'd be fun just to add in on here, just to poke out a bit on here. So let's get my glue. Put a little bit of glue on here. And stick our flower on there. And then, yeah, I think I'm going to do a cluster up here. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue. In here. Like so. And then I think I'll put one over here. right there. Okay. And then I'm going, now this card has already quite a bit of thickness, so I'm not going to add dimensionals to this. I'm just going to glue this directly onto this white circle. I want to make sure I've got the right side of my circle. Yes. So let's put some glue on here. Isn't that pretty? I think that's come together beautifully. Okay. So now come back to your envelope again. So you're positioning this card, this little note card, so that you can have a little bit of an overhang on here. And rotate it to the way you want it. So now I think I can pull this out a bit more. There we go. Okay, so you see my circle is not overhanging the envelope. Okay, so I'm going to take this off. Oops. And I'm going to flip this open. Now, if you want, you could put, well, what I do, I don't do a pencil mark. I take my ruler. Now, make sure it's even top to bottom. So look at the top here and look at the bottom here. And that already looks pretty good. And make sure it's nice and straight. Then I'm going to place my ruler just up against where the, you know, the edge. I'm placing my ruler at the edge so that I know, and let's take my lid off. Okay, so I know not to put glue past the ruler, okay? And I can see the top, so I'm just going to draw like a little line, and then I'm going to fill in and go down to the bottom and draw another little line. So I'm kind of making a rectangle here for my gluing. Okay, now I'm going to fold this over, and I'm going to hold that down for a couple of seconds. So how's everyone doing? Is this a fun fold that you might like to make? It's a little advanced if you're a brand new stamper. It's always good if you've not done a, kind of an advanced fun fold before. You might want to grab out some papers that you don't like and you kind of want to use up just to do a prototype, just to get used to doing it. And then once you feel confident, then you can pull out the papers you really want to use. Okay, now to do the other side, I'm simply going to flip it over. Take my ruler again, butt it up against this edge, okay, and then open it up and put some more glue on here. And then fold it over. Oop, I went too close to the edge there. Oops, it's squeezed out. Don't go too close to the edge. Don't worry about, that's what I love about Tombow glue. Once it dries, you can easily remove the glue with the glue eraser. Yes, I went too close to the edge there, or I put too much glue. It was probably because I put too much glue, because I was at the ruler. I was good, but I think I put too much glue and then it kind of oozed out. So less is better. Okay. So there's your card. Now it doesn't fold flat. Now, as far as putting a greeting on here, well, you've got these 4 panels on the back. So you could, again, cut some white. If you want to cover the whole thing, you can. And then you could write something on there, but it doesn't lie flat. So your writing thing should probably be maybe over here. I would put another panel of just white, and you could fit in a small greeting. So I have this "thanks for being you" that I might put in there, or you could just put in a hand note. If you wanted another section to write on, then this would be your next option over here. Although when you're putting your hand over here, you're not going to be able to write. So just be cognizant of that. This isn't the best card for writing a message, but it can be done on the back panel, okay? All right, so let's close this up again. And, ooh, yeah, a lot of glue squeezed out of there. So I don't really care about the glue here because this is going to cover it over. So again, I need my envelope. And I'm going to place this on here. And again, I'm just going to glue it on there. So I just need glue in the center. Whoops. Don't put glue towards the edges, right? Because it's going to hang over. And then orient it the way you want. And then place it on your card. And hold it for a few seconds. Oh my gosh, look how pretty that is. Now you could also, if you want a greeting on the front of the card, now you've got this panel over here. So you could do any number of things. You could do another die cut and put on there. So for example, I've got these. These are my second favorite. These are called the Nested Essentials dies. So I could do, say, a flagged piece on here. Or I could do, so I could do something like that. Or I could do something like this. Would fit on there with, oh, I kind of like that, with a little greeting in the middle. That's kind of cool. Or you could do a tag thing. Or we've got these rounded rectangles. Oh, I kind of like that too. Let's do a rounded rectangle. So I'm going to cut this out. I think I'll stamp it first. So I'm going to use this greeting. Thanks for being you. And I'm going to do it in my Memento Black, I think. I'm going to put it right in the middle. And it's a bit crooked, so I can adjust my die. And then I'm going to put some leaves. We've got this lovely leaf stamp here. So let's stamp some leaves. I'm going to stamp these in Mossy Meadow and then color them with the greens that I have out. So I'm going to stamp one here. And then I'm going to stamp one up here. Okay, that will work. Okay, let's give these a little bit of color. How are we on time? 11:15. I don't like to be more than an hour. I'm sure you've got lots to do. So what do you think of this suite so far? We're going to add some gems onto the front of our card. Let's add a little bit of dark on there. It's going to go up the middle a little bit. And then I'm just going to blend that in. There we go. Now we just have to cut this out, put it on our card, add some gems, and we'll be done. Okay, so let's put some tape down and go and cut that out. So we're going to glue this on here. So what's kind of cool about this is that this is the front of your card. And then when you open it, this is really kind of the inside of your card. Okay. So you could also maybe do this whole background white and add your embellishments. And then you'd have this white piece to write on, but you'd have to almost not assemble the card. You know, you might have to write on it before you put it together to send it to someone. So I'm not quite sure how you would prefer to do that. I think I'm just going to stick with putting a white panel on the back. Now, because of the way this opens, I'm going to put some embellishments on here, and I might put a couple on here as well, because it's going to stand up like that. Okay, so let me grab my embellishments, and I'm going to add maybe some of these Night of Navy ones will be pretty to pull in the background of the card. So we'll do one here. We'll do one here. These are really sweet. They're kind of sparkly. And we'll do one here. So there's 3 little embellishments on the front, and I'm going to do, whoops. When they flip over, it's a challenge. So when all else fails, grab your pokey tool. I'm just going to stick my fingers underneath here and press those down. Okay, so there's your card. What do you think? I'm very happy with it. Came together really well. Okay, and when my glue is dry, I'm just going to put my glue eraser and get rid of this squishy glue out here. Oh, here is okay, but down here I've got a bit of a glue mess. but my eraser will take that off. Okay, thank you. All right, let me just pop in and say goodbye. Here we go. So thanks for joining in or watching the replay. Send me some comments. Let me know what you think. And I will be back on Monday for Mojo Monday, and I have a fun layout for you that I came across. It'll be really pretty to use up some designer series paper again. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. If you have any crafting friends that might enjoy my videos, please let them know, share. And if you check out my YouTube channel, I've got lots of videos over there. Please like and subscribe if you want. And thank you so much for watching. My name's Erica, and I'm a Canadian Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Bye for now.